Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. So we are going to be beginning our presentation now. As I shared before, my name is Delaney, and I'm an advisor here at AMO, and it's my goal to help you find the rotation for you. In this presentation, we will be going through just general information about AMO, as well as how to actually find and reserve your rotation, specifically for the summer rotations, which obviously it's April already, it's coming up quickly. So there is a couple steps that we can help you through, and then finally reserve your rotation with us. So I'm joined with Antoine. As I shared, he's another advisor on our team. And Antoine will be leading the presentation with me, as well as answering your questions.
Yeah. And again, anytime you have any questions that come up, please feel free to go ahead and put those in the chat. I do know we have a few that have already come in, but we look forward to answering those.
Definitely. So I will just be jumping into the presentation. We do want to start off by saying, the importance of scheduling your rotation and finding it. If you are having any questions, again, you can schedule a call with either me, Antoine, or the rest of the advisor team, and we can help you. But the reasoning why, it is so important to reserve your rotation right away is they do go super quickly. It's first come, first serve. So if you see a rotation that aligns with you, we highly, highly recommend reserving right away, so that you're able to, choose the rotation that's first pick to you. As we go through the presentation, I'm actually going to also show you our platform, our website that we have, and how easy it is to choose a rotation using the filters that are on the platform. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen with you all so I can start the presentation. Again, keep the questions coming. We'll be answering them throughout the presentation itself. And again, if you have any specific questions regarding rotations that you would like to attend, as you just saw, you can email advisors@amopportunities.org. And you can also schedule a call with us. So we love having Zoom calls with you, WhatsApp, or even just email conversations, anything that works for you all. Okay, so we are going to begin our presentation. As shared before, we are AM Opportunities, and we provide clinical rotations to medical students and graduates in the US. We have many types of rotations as well, so I will get more into that as we proceed. And we do work with a lot of hospitals, clinics, even university programs. So as we do go through this presentation, I would recommend for you all to think about, what is most important to you for your rotation. And as I mentioned before, having understanding what time you would like to come as well. If you are looking for a summer rotation, now is the time to reserve. They do go quickly. Usually we recommend actually reserving about 4 to 6 months prior to the start of your rotation. We do understand, perfect world, that would be the situation of, doing it 4 to 6 months prior, but we understand that's not always 100% possible every time. So we would just say sooner the better. And also just being able to, have time for your documentation and the enrollment process, and just collecting all your material so you're ready for the start of your rotation.
Definitely. And Delaney, if you can go over to the next slide, as Delaney mentioned, if you are able to reserve early, then that is great. But we understand that a lot of you are current medical students. Some of you may be busy with exams. If you are a recent graduate, you might just be busy with life in general. But the important thing to keep in mind is that as a whole, AMO is here to help you find a rotation. We know we want you to book early. You probably get our emails all the time saying, hey, book now, book now, book now. But the reason why we mention that is because there are a lot of factors that can really make it seem like you have a lot of time until you can book these rotations. But in actuality, you don't maybe have as much time as it feels like. For the rotations through AMO, those rotations are available on a first come, first served basis. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we want you to go ahead and plan your rotation early. Typically, this is our busiest season where a lot of individuals are booking for the summer months. Rotations that you thought you could book for June today, unfortunately, just simply aren't available. And while all of the rotations that we do have available on the site are going to be good ones, we also understand that you might have some preferences, and we want to make sure that you are able to get your first choice. I do know that we had the question that came in from Najbala asking, what are the programs for the people who are new? Thankfully, the minimum requirement to join a AMO rotation is just simply to be a current medical student or graduate. But as time goes on, we run into those deadlines and there are going to be less seats that are available. So Najbala, even if you are eligible to, let's say join for a general surgery rotation, in New York, if someone else does book that seat, you are going to have to consider another month, or you're going to have to consider another rotation as a whole.
Yeah, and we do actually have rotations up until December of 2024. So many months and even a year in advance. And we do have a lot of students that, they see a rotation even available next year or again this summer, and they see it and they book it and they're able to be 100% reserved, and we can move forward on that process. So Antoine definitely brings up a lot of great points regarding just being aware, because there are a lot of deadlines that we do have to, stay in line with. And for example, with June, that is coming up in just a few months, and there's only a certain amount of seats available. Just going a little bit more with the slide, it's important to understand your visa wait times, and every country is different. If you are in a different country that's not the US, that will play a factor. However, we can support you in that process. We do provide visa support that providing an invitation letter and even an expedited visa appointment if necessary. But just doing your own research on your own process and getting to the US, and then of course we can help you as well. And then just making your travel arrangements early, getting that plane ticket and understanding when you would like to come. That is very important.
And so here on this next slide, one of the things that I want to reiterate is that AMO is here to ensure that you are able to obtain your clinical experience. When you do reserve a rotation with us, that seat is going to be guaranteed. The application process is pretty simple. Delaney will be giving a quick demo of the site in just a bit. But when you apply directly to a rotation, AMO is going to receive that application directly. And 99% of cases, we are going to be able to approve directly on behalf of the physician. And once you have been accepted and approved, that next step is to reserve. Reserving is going to be the only thing that will guarantee your seat, submitting that initial deposit. But I know that sometimes individuals are maybe a little bit hesitant on submitting that right away. And one of the things that Delaney did mention was, visa. In some countries, that visa wait time can seem to be really long. And unfortunately, that is the case simply just across many countries in the world right now, where there are longer, maybe than average visa wait times. But the important thing to keep in mind is that AMO does provide visa support. And so if you have, let's say a wait time of 30 days, that might seem long to you, but actually 30 days is going to be really great. You don't have to wait that long at all, and you will be able to obtain a visa in time for the summer. But even if, let's say, you have a visa wait time of 200 or 300 plus days, don't let that intimidate you from booking a rotation. AMO has been able to successfully help people expedite that visa appointment. And if you are able to get that visa appointment date and we can expedite that, maybe that rotation that you want us to do in August that did seem maybe out of reach is something that you can most certainly do. And, I think the question on everyone's mind is, but what happens if I'm not able to, get that visa appointment, or I'm not able to obtain the visa on time? When we mentioned that that seat is guaranteed, AMO is also contractually obligated to make sure that we can find you a rotation. So in the event that you aren't able to join for that rotation for that month, we will allow you to postpone your rotation to a later date. And so that way you don't have to worry about, hey, maybe I can't book this August and come for there, but I can come for the month of September. So as long as you get that rotation booked now, you're going to have priority when it does come to getting that next month that does work better for you.
Definitely. You brought many great points. And in all, we do have all of your best interests in mind. We want to help you, and we will honestly do everything we can so that you are able, to do your rotation. And again, we do have many situations in line. If there is any issue with receiving your visa, as Antoine says, there are other options. And I'll actually be going into on our next slide about virtual rotations that we offer that could be put in place if you aren't able to receive your visa. But just going a little bit more with the AMO experience, we do provide one-on-one support throughout the entire process. So as you're finding your rotation, that's where the advisors come in. We can do, again, one-on-one calls, answer any questions that you have, and just provide that support in understanding what is the best option for a rotation for you. And then once you are actually reserving your rotation and you have your guaranteed seat, you will be assigned one of our coaches, an AMO coach, who can help you again with that visa process by providing that letter to you, as well as any recommendations on housing and even transportation support. The coach will also be there for you throughout the entire process, and even after the rotation ends, making sure you receive your letter of recommendation. And then finally, you are able to stand out in the match. You will receive a merit-based letter of recommendation, which we will be going to in the future presentation. So this is what I was sharing prior about our virtual rotations. As you can see, 93% of US providers expect to invest in real-time telemedicine within the next 10 years. So it's not going away. And it's a very crucial part of the US clinical health system. So in terms of our virtual rotations, they are on the same caliber as, the in-person rotations. You are still able to receive letters of recommendation. So if for whatever reason, you weren't able to receive your visa, this would be a perfect option for you so that you can still get experience in the US healthcare system, and you're, still able to have patient interactions, work with a physician, and then also receive a letter of recommendation.
Definitely. I think, one other important thing to keep in mind, a lot of people view virtual rotations as not real. But as you can see, telemedicine is something that is just going to be here permanently in the US and across the medical industry globally. Myself, I'm someone that has had telehealth visits. Many of the AMO staff has had that, as well as many citizens in the US in general. And I do know that there was a question that came in about, applying early 4 to 6 months in advance, but having some concerns about the dates as a whole. And so I think that was an anonymous one that came in. But that is a common question that does come in where the month that you want to book, but your university maybe hasn't released the exact dates for when you're going to start. And it certainly can make it make you a bit more hesitant to reserve. For that, I would say always speak with an advisor before booking. In most cases, depending on when you want to join, we may be able to make sure that there won't be any issues around that situation. If maybe you realize that, hey, you want to book for these 4 weeks, but there's a small chance that you will have to leave a week early. In most cases, that will be fine. But you always want to speak with an advisor such as myself, just so that we can make sure that one, not only are we aware of that situation, but two, that you are aware of what would happen in that worst case, so that you can be prepared for that. And the biggest thing is you just want to make sure that you are going to have the best experience possible, so that you can earn that strong merit-based letter recommendation. And Mohammed, yes, you will get a recording of this webinar later.
Definitely. Yeah, Antoine did bring up a great point. We do understand that every, situation is different, and we want to be flexible to be able to help you, with where you're at. So if you do have any, in a sense, special requests, we can assist with that in most cases. So again, it would just be a conversation with an advisor so that we can better understand your situation so that we can help you. Again, this is just a little bit more about the virtual experiences. If you are interested in that, we do have about 40 different virtual rotations in many different specialties. I am going to go into a little demo on the website, just so I can show you again how you are able to view the different experiences we have. We do have, like in-person rotations, hands-on and observerships, even research rotations as well. So we have something for everyone. So just going into more of, the in-person experiences that we offer, we do have nursing, dentistry, research, as well as hands-on and observerships. And with the hands-on, you are able to speak with the patients, participate in non-invasive procedures, have practical examinations. And then with the observerships, you're able to shadow the physicians, observe top procedures, and participate in active case presentations. So they're both very crucial to your career. And it would just be, again, what you're specifically looking for. AMO, we have had some awards, and that's just, showing how far we've been, 10 years actually as a company. So we do have a lot of experience and expertise that we want to be able to assist you with in your journey. So we did receive the President's E Award for exports. And this is actually just a little bit about electives. So if you are wanting to use your summer rotation, you are able to potentially use it for elective or university credit. As I shared, having a conversation with an advisor, I would recommend the most. And that is just because every university is different. Everyone has their own requirements. So we just want to make sure that it aligns, with the rotation that you choose. So again, having a conversation is the best if you are wanting to use this for your university. Also, we do appreciate all the questions. Please keep sending them in if you have any more. I did get a question I see regarding if we have pre-med shadowing experiences, and we do. So that's we do have a lot of pre-med rotations, and I can go over that once we go on the platform.
Definitely. Just to add for that question, for those pre-med shadowing experiences, those are for U.S. pre-med students. Typically in a lot of international countries, that first, second year, what a lot of people refer to as pre-med. Typically, we consider an MBBS student to just be enrolled in medical school. In the US, there's typically 4 years of undergraduate before there's even any medical studies. So if you are in school abroad, you would qualify directly for an observership or a hands-on rotation. But if you're in the US and you are in that undergraduate program, then yes, you would be eligible for a pre-med rotation.
That's a great point. And we did also get another question for electives, how in advance should I apply? That would go back to the 4 to 6 months in advance. The reasoning is, of course, so that you're able to, choose and find that rotation that is most important to you, but also because, there's time for documentation and the enrollment, making sure that it aligns with your university, collecting any documentation. So I would recommend 4 to 6 months. in advance. If it is less than 4 months, definitely still apply. It would just, we will be aware of your situation and again, help you with where you're at.
Definitely. And Fatima, I know if you are looking for the summer, you can certainly we can certainly still help you find a rotation. But if you are ever, curious as to if you're trying to apply, too early, or apply as soon as possible. It is never too early to apply, but it can be too late. So if you know you want to book for this summer, let's hurry. Those deadlines are coming up. Typically, those last minute deadlines tend to be about 30 to 60 days out prior to the month, and that is to have all of your documentation in along with that full payment. And we certainly don't want you to worry about trying to scramble to get everything in on time. But if you are looking to, reserve for this fall, now is going to be that perfect time for you to apply.
Definitely. I do also see one more question about location for the rotation. So would it make a difference to do the rotations in one state versus different states? Personally, I would say that's preference. However, if you are maybe if you are applying to the US residency match in the future and you're wanting to be a doctor in one state, that could be an advantage in a sense of, just creating those connections with those physicians. But Andrew, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, just to add, if your primary concern is matching into the U.S. residency, you don't have to worry about, the impact of different states. I will, just so you're aware, in the state of California, no one is allowed to do hands-on rotations. It's just kind of state regulation there. But aside from that, that state won't necessarily matter. Now, if you are like, you know for a fact you want to live in New York or you want to live in Texas, I would recommend, rotating in those states, not only to network with the physicians there so that, doctors in that local network may already know you, but also so that you can get an idea of how it is to live there. That's maybe one of the hidden things that sometimes individuals don't really consider when it comes to rotating in a specific area. You've also got to give that region a try out to make sure that yes, is a place that you want to live and practice medicine because that is your life.
Very true. Great point. So just going into our partnerships with universities, we do have over 55 different universities that we partner with, and it's ever increasing. So with that, if you are, again, wanting to receive credit for your university, it would be a conversation that we have. And yeah, in most cases, we are able to find a rotation that aligns. We do have over 300 rotations, and I will be going into that again shortly, just to show the array that we have. Right now, we have many, as you can see from this map, many rotations in the main cities. So for example, in Florida, like Miami, Chicago, Illinois, which is actually where we are based as AMO, and then New York and also California, but also in the middle as well. So that's the fun part, of course, in choosing the rotation is, deciding which location you'd like to visit. So if you have any questions with that, again, having a conversation with me or Antoine or any of the other advisors, we would be able to help with that. So I'm going to do the demo on the website, just so you all are able to see our platform. So this is the homepage in a sense, when you are able to see all the rotations that we offer. I'll be going through this first, just so you're able to see a good idea of how easy it is to find one, but also how quickly the rotations, go down, and how you can filter them quickly to find the one that you're looking for. As me and Antoine has shared, it is first come, first serve. So once you start using the filters to narrow down what you're looking for, it will go from 333 down to only a handful in just a couple minutes. So that's why, just understanding when you would like to come, as well as your specialty, and also where you would like to visit, will help you in narrowing down your search. I'm just going to do an example quickly. So say you are looking for June of this month, so a summer rotation, and you would like to visit Illinois. And say you only would like the specialty of urology. As you can see, we only have one option here, and this is definitely very great high caliber program. As you can see, you have the observership, hands-on, as well as the pre-med shadowing. And then just going into a little bit about the rotation itself and the important information, you are able to see how many seats are available. And that is just important in understanding that, sure, there's 2 seats available right now, but say in a week or so, 2 other students pick those seats, then, there aren't any seats available anymore for that month. And Antron, you want to say?
Yeah, and thank you for showing that, Delaney. We definitely have a multitude of rotations that are available, but as you can see, sometimes maybe some of the more popular locations, typically more popular just due to location, those can go quickly. But once you do find that rotation and you are able to apply, I do recommend booking sooner rather than later. And I do see that, we have a couple of questions that have come in about maybe some of those next steps. I know someone anonymously asked, hey, what happens from that there are a lot of sometimes individuals from underdeveloped countries that get rejections from the embassy. What is the basic reason for that? And that is, I think an excellent question. One thing I can share with you is that for individuals that apply for a rotation with AMO, I think we mentioned earlier, you will receive visa support from AMO. And generally speaking, 90 to 95% of visitors do obtain a visa utilizing our invitation letter. We have visitors from all across the world, in many countries, Africa and the Pakistan and Middle East, and South America as well as including Europe. And we do have trainees from maybe countries, some countries that maybe have higher visa rejection rates in general. The thing to keep in mind when it comes to that visa rejection, the embassy is going to take a look at those individuals, their application as a whole. And unfortunately, sometimes it maybe comes down to personal things that maybe aren't necessarily related to doing a rotation, or in some cases, maybe those individuals did not apply to get a visa while having a rotation booked. Having that rotation booked and having that visa invitation letter directly from a reputable organization is going to improve those chances dramatically. But for the most part, and this might not be an answer you want to hear, we can't really give a reason for that. And it's really going to boil down to each individual situation. Now, what I will say is that if you do apply for a rotation, you get that visa invitation letter, you are going to have a much higher chance of getting that visa approved. Now, Fatima, I know you asked about virtual rotations. Again, let's say you're looking for a rotation, and in this case, instead of it being only one rotation, hey, there's only 3 virtual rotations that are available for the month of June. Again, those are going to be valuable because virtual rotations, telemedicine here in the US, it is going to be here to stay. So we're honestly at the point where I recommend that you do a virtual rotation, whether or not you can join for an in-person one as well. That is going to give you an advantage because telemedicine is something that you are going to encounter. If you become a physician in the US, you will encounter telemedicine. It's not going away. So, to those who feel that maybe it's not as valuable or maybe it's not as real, I think sometimes individuals think back to maybe the onset of COVID when a lot of universities went virtual. And, that, was a different time where a lot of things were rushed. But a lot of standards have been put in place. Telemedicine was already an avenue that was being explored. So you will really truly understand how, to practice medicine, give that in a telemedicine fashion, and, to really give you a leg up on your peers when it comes to applying for the residency match as a whole. Now, Osios, to answer your question, when it comes to, that rotation, let's say this rotation here for June, this urology rotation, you figure out this is the one you want, you book the last seat. Once you do reserve, you will be assigned a personalized AMO coach. When we resume the presentation, we will dive into that a bit. But generally speaking, you're going to get that personalized AMO coach that is going to assist you for finding those accommodations. You will be responsible for obtaining those, but AMO will be here to support you. But with that, I just wanted to make sure we got those answered. I can pass it back off to you, Delaney.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for answering those, and also great questions, everyone. So just going back to a couple more things that I want to add light to about our website, and how easy it is to book and reserve it. So the first step would be finding, the rotation that you're interested in. You are able to apply for free to as many rotations as you'd like. So if you're, just figuring out what you're interested in, you would, say the type that you're interested in, as well as when you would like to start. As you can see, it will share the dates as well as how many seats are available. So for example, someone had already booked for September. So if you do have a specific month that you are wanting, especially with these summer months coming up quickly, again, we recommend booking now, right when you, see that. And then also just information that's important. You will see any academic and hospital affiliation. So that information would be on your letter of recommendation. So if you have any preference in terms of academic or hospital affiliations, those would be there. And then you'll also be able to see the exposure type. So that's whether it's clinic or hospital. And then finally, how many patients you'll be able to see. If there's any other additional requirements, it will share on the bottom of the page. But if you do have any questions on that, again, the advisors are there to help you.
Yeah. And one more thing I just want to highlight, Delaney, before you move off from this. If you scroll back up, to the top, you can see that this is an outpatient rotation. Yes, it's urology. Yes, it's outpatient. But the vast majority of rotations in the US are going to be outpatient or clinic-based. If you scroll back down to those academic and hospital affiliations, here you see that the physician who is leading this is an assistant professor for the Department of Surgery and that division of urology at Rush University Medical College. But also they are the chief of urology at Rush University Medical Center. So a lot of times individuals think simply because a rotation is outpatient that it's not valuable. But here you can see what matters more is going to be those credentials of the physician. When it comes to that, letter of recommendation, the two most important things are going to be, one, the quality of the letter itself. So making sure that you do a good job to earn a good one. But then also two, the affiliations that the physician has, which in this case, if you're interested in matching into urology, I think a letter from the chief of urology will definitely go a long way.
Definitely. Those are great points. Thank you for sharing that. There's just one more part that I would like to talk about quickly on our platform, the importance of the filters. So when you are choosing your rotation, 333, that could seem like a lot. But once you start putting in what you're interested in, whether it be the type of rotation or what city you would like to visit, it will quickly go down. So when we had talked about, the different types, virtual or research rotations, pre-med, nursing, you are able to quickly filter it here. So as you can see, if you type in virtual, you will see now we have 43 virtual options for you. Again, they are all 4 weeks long. We do have ones that are a bit longer, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and even a fellowship or so. So we have different timeframes, but most of them will be the 4 weeks. And then you are also able to see these tags as well. Oh, just to put some importance on these two. So again, if you are looking for, say, a rotation with academic affiliation, you could click this box. If you are looking for an inpatient exposure program, click here. To give some clarity on what this box means, your letter of recommendation would have a hospital or university letterhead. click this here, as well as residency. So the list does go on. It's fun to play with filters, see what's most important to you. And then from there, again, you're able to apply directly on the website. You will receive an email if you're accepted to that program. And then from there, you'll be able to reserve directly on our platform. So we do try to make it very simple and streamline that process for you. Anything else, Antoine, you want to share about the platform?
No, I do think the question did just come in about the sites on the website. So Miriam asks, I noticed that most sites available on AMO are hospitals that do not offer residency. Does that affect their ability to give LORs? And Miriam, that is a great question to have. It's definitely a valid concern. That does not impact our ability to give letters of recommendation at all. For each and every single rotation that is available on our platform, each and every single one comes with the opportunity to earn a letter of recommendation. It is merit-based, meaning that you do have to earn it. But before AMO even signs an agreement with a physician, clinic, hospital, one of the things that we ask is that, are you willing to write a letter of recommendation for trainees that come through? If they are not willing to, then we won't partner with them. So in that regard, you don't have to worry about booking your rotation and not being able to earn that letter of recommendation. The physicians understand that aside from the experience itself, that LOR is going to be the next most important thing.
Great. Yeah, thank you for asking that and answering. So I'll be going back to our presentation. Again, please keep the questions coming. You all are asking wonderful questions. And if you would like to send your email, if you would like me and Antoine to reach out to you directly after this presentation, please do so, just so that, we can answer any more personalized questions for you. So again, as you saw on our platform, there are many hospital, clinics, university, and research sites that we partner with. So if that is important to you, you are able to view those on the platform or even ask me or Antoine in a conversation. So why do a U.S. clinical experience? There's many benefits. First is just adding that experience to your CV. You're having experience in the U.S. healthcare system, very specific to the U.S. You're able to strengthen your medical English. And as we've chatted about, earning those letters of recommendation from the U.S. physicians, it is important to note if you are, applying to the U.S. residency match, you do have to have all your letters of recommendation uploaded by September. So that's a specific deadline that you will have to have all that documentation and letters of recommendation uploaded if you are applying to the U.S. residency match. You do have to have between 3 to 4 letters of recommendation. So when Antoine was talking about the importance of a virtual rotation, it's good to have that variety in terms of the different rotations that you attend. So, if you do, say, an observership, you could also do a research rotation and a virtual rotation, or you can just pick one. Of course, it is up to you, but just understanding that each types of these rotations are important, having that research aspect or having experience in telemedicine, it will all help you stand out. And then also other benefits include just expanding your professional network. You're making connections with these physicians and also just building knowledge for your steps. And as Antoine had mentioned before, none of the steps are required for the rotation. You can be at any part in your journey. There are, I would say, 3% of the rotations that require the step 1, but if it is necessary, it will share in the description. And then finally, you can potentially even obtain school credit for these rotations, and that would just be, again, by having a conversation with us. Also, another question that I personally get asked a lot is there a in a sense, proof that, you attended the rotation? So you are able to receive a letter of completion as well. for all the rotations. And then again, the merit-based letter of recommendation.
Definitely. And I know as we move into this next slide, the LORs, they are going to be the most important aspects of these rotations that everyone is looking for. I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind, and also one of the biggest reasons why we're putting so much emphasis on making sure you apply early, is because if you are looking to apply for the residency match, you are going to need that minimum of 3 letters of recommendation to apply. I've seen a lot this year that there has been a lot of confusion about the upcoming residency match cycle, and maybe some of the deadlines. When it comes to those letters of recommendation, those are going to be due in September. So you need all 3 of those letters of recommendation in September to upload for your match application. They are a core component of that application as a whole. And I think, a lot of times individuals think that they have all the way up until, January of next year to do that. That is not the case. Now, for those rotations, again, those LORs are going to be merit-based. And I know sometimes that maybe if you are looking to apply for this match cycle and maybe you feel that you've waited too long, maybe there aren't as many options that are going to be available. Miriam, I know you had a question that just came in about there being a few neurosurgery specialties that have come through. Some subspecialties just simply have less programs that are available, whether it's because it's not as popular or just because of the time frame. For that, one of the things to keep in mind is that the AMO site is always going to be up to date with rotations. And so what you do see on the site is what we are going to have available. Again, there's 333 rotations that are available right now. We are always looking to add more each and every single month. Now, if you ever have any difficulties with, maybe finding some rotations that are on the site, always feel free to reach out to us. In most cases, right, what is there on the site is going to be available. But sometimes when we have weekly meetings to see if we know about getting more supply that is coming up. So Miriam, I would highly recommend emailing us, advisors@amopportunities.org. That email is in the chat, but I can also share that again. I can type that as a response to your question. But we can always check to see if maybe there are programs that are going to be added relatively soon. And let's say, Miriam, hey, maybe you're not in a rush to get something for the summer. You've got some time, you've got until next year. We can do something that is called a recruitment request. And essentially what that does is it allows AMO to go ahead and try to find a physician who will be willing to host a rotation in that specialty for you. Typically that would be $1,000 deposit. And if AMO is unable to, find a physician, that is going to be fully refundable. But I've personally had success with that. I believe I've had 2 trainees who have gone through and successfully done that. I know most recently there was a trainee that wanted to do a rotation in Denver, Colorado. But previously we did not have rotations there, and now we do. I believe Delaney actually has 2 recruitment requests that are ongoing right now. And we understand that it can be difficult to find those rotations, and we want to be here to do our best to enable you to find those elements. Now, that being said, if there are programs that are available at the moment that are suitable, I would always recommend booking those first. And the reason being, in the worst case where we're not able to find an alternative rotation for you for a recruitment request, you will potentially miss out on even having the opportunity to join for that rotation as a whole.
Very true. And I did want to add a couple information about the recruitment request. So the $1,000 is directly towards the rotation itself. So it's not like outside of, what you'd already be paying. And as Antoine was saying, a lot of times people will use the recruitment request if they have a certain location that they would like to rotate in. But again, there is not that specific specialty. So it just makes sense for them to go through that process of 4 months. And again, it's not guaranteed. So if you do see one that that interests you and, you are open to going to a new location, visiting a new place, we always recommend doing that because it is guaranteed. Great question. So as Antoine and I have mentioned, we are advisors, and it's our goal to help you find that rotation, whether we're giving you different recommendations or discussing your specific goals, because we understand, again, that everyone has their own reasoning for wanting to participate in the rotation. And then we will also just answer any questions that you have. If you have any concerns, and we can alleviate those concerns. We do have a lot of experience, having conversations with students and graduates from all across the world, as well as the US. So we, have that understanding and can just provide that information. And then also we do help with even, helping you with your reservation, whether that be helping you create that application or with the payment options. So we are your number one point of contact until you find your rotation.
Yeah. And I know some of these questions that are coming in, these are great questions. I know for some of the answers, we are trying to be concise just to make sure that they are general and helps everyone that is on the webinar. But I highly recommend scheduling a call so that we can talk more about that. I do see that there's a question about the impact of doing a rotation in New York versus, wanting to do residency in California. Again, if you know that you maybe want to match in California, I always recommend just rotating there so that you can get an idea of how things are done there, how that state feels for you. But in terms of an impact on your ability to match in California because you only have letters from New York, that is not going to have an impact. But certainly, I recommend clicking that link to schedule a call or emailing us directly or even messaging us on WhatsApp. We can certainly talk more and go into a lot more depth about maybe some of your specific concerns as well. And then Miriam, this is a great question. What happens if you book a rotation and something comes up and you can't travel for that book date? When Delaney goes over to the next slide, you're going to see the coaches. I think we mentioned that a little bit earlier. But once you reserve your rotation, you're going to be assigned that personalized AMO coach. They're going to provide you with all assistance when it comes to enrollment, verifying the documents, making those accommodations. But they're also going to be there in case, problems like this do come up. Now, for these rotations, when you do book that rotation, you are expected to attend for that month. Generally speaking, the one biggest concern for a lot of individuals is visa. What happens if you can't get the visa in time, or what happens if the visa is denied? In those cases, AMO will work with you to postpone that rotation at a later date. And typically, that does work out for a lot of individuals. Now, if you are aware of something that may potentially, contribute to you needing to change your date, I think that is something that you should bring up to an advisor such as myself or Delaney before you book. That way we can better assist you. But if it's more of a hypothetical concern, what I should say is that generally speaking, typically there usually aren't many things that happen that prevents individuals from joining. If anything, people may need to join like 1 or 2 days later, leave 1 or 2 days early for some reason, and that is more than fine. If there's maybe a situation where suddenly you realize you can't join for that specific month, as long as you provide that documentation and reach out to your coach, they will be able to assist you and work with you to find the best solution for that specific case. But again, Miriam, if there is maybe something specific that you are worried about, please email us, message us on WhatsApp, or schedule that call, and we can talk about that and make sure that we can assist you with that so that you don't have those concerns once you are ready to vote.
Very great point. So just to add a little bit more about the coaches, as well as even the advising team, is we are there for you throughout the entire process. From the first time you see our website, you can reach out to us, as well as, having that specific coach aligned with you. So if there is any questions at all, even throughout the rotation itself, you do have that number one point of contact, either of these wonderful 4 coaches to reach out to and communicate with. They also even host an orientation prior to the start of the rotation. It would be a virtual orientation, just to answer any of those questions that you have. And yeah, as we shared, we're 100% there for you all. So it is very easy to enroll. I'll just go through this quickly, but just having your CV, I would say, is most important in the beginning. If you can either upload it to the website platform or even just send it to any of the advisors so that we can upload it for you. But that can speed along the process in terms of being accepted. Either way, again, the coaches will be able to help you with all the documentation. So don't want it to be overwhelming or anything. They can help you, again, making sure you have all of your forms complete. And all of the forms are actually due 45 days before the rotation begins, as well as your full payment. And that's just to make sure, everything's all ready before your rotation starts.
Yeah. And just want to highlight a couple of things on here. Typically, the document that I see a lot of people the most concerned about tends to be the proof of English proficiency. I'll let you know now, as long as you feel confident communicating in English, you feel comfortable, you can have a casual conversation. Don't worry about that. That there is a requirement is there to make sure that you are going to have a good experience yourself. Now, the document that does tend to take the most time tends to be the immunizations. That is going to be a document that I always recommend working on as soon as possible. I know sometimes there are individuals from certain countries that are concerned because maybe that's not an immunization that they typically get in their country. I know Egypt is one that does come to mind. In those cases, do not worry. There has never been an issue with someone not being able to join a rotation because of immunizations. The coaches will be there to work with you. In some cases, you can simply get those immunizations when you do come to the US. But we're going to be here with you for all of those questions. Don't let those documents stop you from reserving. These are not due at the time of reserving. These are only due afterwards so that you can complete your enrollment. And the reason they aren't due at the time of applying and reserving is because we understand that maybe you don't have all of these documents available at the start, but we don't want that to impede you from being able to get a rotation for a month that works best for you.
Definitely. So this is actually one of my favorite slides. This is the 2022 match rate. And as you can see in orange, those are the AMO IMGs and their match rate at 80% versus US citizen IMGs at 61%. And then finally, non-US citizens IMGs at 58. The reasoning why we show this is just to ensure that everyone understands the importance of the letters of recommendation as well as the caliber of the rotations that we offer. We do go through a big vetting process in terms of, having physicians come on board to work with us. So we make sure that, number one, they're all 100% IMG friendly. They also, enjoy teaching and giving that experience to whether they're students or graduates, and also that you can receive a merit-based letter of recommendation. So we do make sure all of that's 100% set in place before you do attend these rotations. And then also, as you can see, the percentages speak for itself there, 80%, very high. So as you saw before, how easy it is to, create an application, but also just view our platform. If you want, you can use this QR code to just quickly go on our account. It will ask you to just create a quick profile. With that, we are able to, share different rotations that might align with you the most. But it is a quick process. It's 100% free to do so. And we highly recommend creating an account. That is the only way that you are able to view the rotations we offer. But it is a quick process. You just verify your email, complete your profile. It'll ask you questions such as, what are your preferred specialties, preferred locations, do you have a visa, if you're a student or graduate, and more. And that's just so, we can better understand what you're looking for. And then also, send those rotations that align with you. So again, you can either go on amopportunities.org to our website or scan this QR code right now. So we have ended our presentation. Definitely, everyone asked wonderful questions throughout the presentation itself. But if you all have any more questions now, this would be the time to ask while we have a few more minutes.
Yeah. And if you want to schedule a call, you can scan that QR code there. And I know there are a lot of questions. I know a few people hopped off. Thank you so much for joining. If you do have to go, feel free. You will be getting a recording of this webinar for your reference. But to those who do want to stay on and ask questions, what we will do, we will go ahead and stop the recording here. That way we can open it up to be just a little bit more casual. And we can go ahead and unmute everyone. I think I saw a couple of hands get raised. I think those might have been for people who did ask questions. But if you've got some questions you just want to ask verbally, we can go ahead and take the time to do so here. But to those who are watching, thank you so much for taking the time to do so. Again, you can schedule a call with that QR code. But I look forward to helping each and every one of you reserve a rotation.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you all for joining and excited to see all the rotations you will find on the website.